If you bought SpaceX stock when it went public 2 weeks ago, you've probably already lost money, about a third of it. And the whole thing is played out like a magic trick, with Elon holding the wand. Here's what happened. SpaceX did something it had never done before. It finally let ordinary people buy a piece of it. It went public, and not quietly. The biggest stock market debut in history. For years, people had been begging to own a slice of SpaceX. So the second the doors opened, everyone sprinted in like it was a Black Friday sale for rockets. The price shot up. Within days, the company was worth almost $3 trillion, bigger than nearly every company on Earth. Everyone felt like a genius. Then it turned. Fast. In 1 week, the stock fell about a third. $600 billion. Poof. Gone. On its worst day, it dropped more than 16% before lunch. So if you bought near the top, feeling like a genius, you are now feeling considerably less like a genius. That's the bit they leave out of the headline. So where did that 600 billion actually go? The uncomfortable answer: nowhere. It was never there. When you hear a company is worth $3 trillion, that number isn't a giant vault of cash with Elon doing backstroke through it. It's just the price of one share, times how many shares exist. That's the whole spell. So when the share price drops, the value drops with it, instantly on paper, even though nothing physically changed. No rocket fell out of the sky. A company's worth is basically a mood ring for the entire crowd of investors. Everyone's excited? The number glows enormous. Mood sours? It shrivels just as fast. The company was exactly the same on Monday as it was the Friday before. The only thing that crashed was everyone's feelings. So why was everyone so giddy in the first place? A few things. This is Elon Musk's company, the most famous man in business, with an army of fans who'd buy a brick if he posted it. Years of people desperate to get in, all stampeding through the door at once. Sprinkle in some fear of missing the next Tesla, a record-breaking headline on every screen, and you've got a good old-fashioned mania. On day one alone, more shares changed hands than in any other debut all year. That's not investing. That's a crowd sprinting in one direction, and crowds sprinting in one direction tend to find a cliff. So what nudged them off it? A few things all at once. First, the early birds started cashing out. When you're up 30% in days, you take the win, and everyone taking the win drags the price down. Second, the sneaky one. A few days in, investors were suddenly allowed to bet against the stock for the first time. Before that, you could pretty much only bet it'd go up. The moment betting against it became possible, people did. Third, the sugar rush wore off and folks started doing the maths. And the maths was not flattering. The price had sprinted miles ahead of what the business actually earns. Then came news the company was about to borrow $20 billion. A fun thing to hear right after you've bought. All of it during a wobbly week for tech in general. Added up, and the mood didn't just cool. It flipped. But here's what most buyers completely missed. You thought you bought a rocket company, didn't you? Rockets, Starlink, Mars, the cool stuff. And to be fair, that business is real. The rockets and the satellites do make real money, but that is not what the giant price tag is betting on. Watch the hands. Look at where the company actually spends its cash. Last year, most of it, over 60%, didn't go into rockets at all. It went into artificial intelligence, giant computer warehouses, including one that's reportedly the biggest AI facility on the planet. Because just before going public, Elon quietly merged SpaceX with his AI company. So while you were staring at the rocket, he slid an entire AI company into your shopping bag. And that AI bit? Last year it made about $3 billion and set fire to more than $6 billion running it. It's less a business, more a very expensive bonfire. Here's why it matters. A $3 trillion price tag cannot be explained by rockets alone. They're solid, but they don't grow fast enough to earn that number. The only way the price makes sense is if that money-losing AI bet somehow becomes the future of everything. So you didn't really buy the safe, famous rocket company. You bought a giant, cash-guzzling AI gamble, wearing a rocket costume. Now, to be crystal clear, Is this a scam? No. Legally, it's all above board. He told everyone, on roughly page 200 of a document nobody on earth actually reads. It's not fraud, it's showmanship. The man could sell sand in a desert and have you thanking him for the receipt. But that gap between the rocket you thought you bought and the AI furnace you actually bought is exactly why this crash stings so much. So what does this mean if your money's in it right now? First, breathe. A loss on paper isn't a real loss until you sell. The number on your screen has dropped, but you've only truly lost it if you cash out at the bottom. Brand new stocks are wild for their first few weeks. Huge swings both ways are completely normal, while the market argues with itself about what the thing's even worth. Also worth knowing, a few months after a company goes public, a flood of new shares is often released onto the market, which can pile on even more pressure later. None of that predicts the future. Nobody really can. But it explains why this ride is so bumpy. And if you were eyeing the dip, thinking cheaper now, I'm not going to tell you yes or no. I'm not your financial advisor, and anyone confidently promising the future of a 2-week-old stock is just guessing with a straight face. But here's the one question worth asking yourself. Am I buying the profitable rocket company or the money-burning AI dream the price is actually built on? Because those are two very different bets. Wearing the same hoodie, knowing which one you're making is the entire game. And zoom out, because SpaceX is really just the biggest, loudest version of a trick that runs every few years. Famous name, months of hype, a frenzied debut, a price that bolts way ahead of the real business. Then a brutal reality check when the excitement runs dry. The lesson isn't SpaceX is doomed. It might be absolutely fine in 10 years. The lesson is simpler, and it'll save you money for life. A share price doesn't tell you what a company is. It tells you what people feel. And feelings are the twitchiest, most expensive thing on the entire market. So that's the SpaceX magic trick. The value was never solid. It was a crowd's excitement. And while everyone admired the rocket, the real thing in their hands was a giant AI bet. Remember that, and no shiny stock will pull the rug out from under you again. A price tells you what people feel, not what a company actually is. And feelings, like Elon's valuations, can vanish faster than they appeared.